Slam poetry.
He doesn't care if it's perfect.
It's time to slam now.
It's the biggest poem I've got inside of me.
She was a thief. You gotta
Love means to love a haunted house.
Yelling, angry.
Blood-black nothingness began to spin.
Specific point of view on
To
things.
this day, I hate pork chops. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
I've got my pen, my sword, my promise. Welcome to I Think Therefore I Slam, the podcast bringing you the best slam poetry and spoken word artists from around Australia and around the world. My name is Andrew Rogerson. My guest today is a 28-year-old Adelaide native who has built himself a rather nice little following on poetry Instagram under the name JT Elliott Poetry, if I do say so myself. He's drawing inspiration from music, lyrics, travelling and sunsets, and his latest collection, The Human Condition, dropped last year. Now, we know that he's a counsellor. We know that he's a former teacher. We know that he's a Christian. But today we want to find out what really moves him and what makes him tick. I cannot wait. Jordan Thompson, glad to have you part of this tapestry. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. I'm really excited to be a part of this. I've been really excited to chat to you about it. Yeah, really happy to be here.
For those who aren't already following you on socials, tell people, what are they missing out? What is the experience of JT Elliott Poetry when people go on there?
Wow.
Can you give us a snapshot?
Yeah, sure. I think the experience is probably an interesting way to put it. But certainly, look, I think Instagram has its positives and negatives, but I think part of the experience is certainly, part of the intro, sunsets. I try to use sunsets as I can, but it's trying to use the visual aspects of poetry and imagery, and then also using the words and put them together to create some sort of artistic piece, whether it be 30 seconds long or 10 seconds long or 2 minutes long.
We're smashing things together and seeing what happens. That's what it's all about. Fantastic. Well, we're going to get more into depth about things like social media, how you've built your whole visual aesthetic. We want to hear some of your work. We want to hear what you've got. You're our first representative from Adelaide, so there's a lot of pressure on this. No.
Yeah.
Did you want to jump straight in or give us an intro of the piece?
Yeah, absolutely. I was asked, what piece I want to share, and I guess I've been writing for a while, and I was having a look, and I'm smiling now, but I think sometimes a lot of things I write about can be a bit intense. So to start off, let's start with something a little bit more intense out of my collection, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Remember my toil, O brother. Do not leave me in despair. My course is already set. I have chosen the path less fair. Pay the ferryman at the gate. Don't be fooled by his wry smile. Just take your ticket and go. We do not have much time. I feel a death in my soul. The lifeless spirit wanes in me. I cling to branches when I fall, yet the sharp ends pierce me completely. Rupture this wasted space I take up. I'd rather not have been born. I just writhe and complain. I wither and scorn. I wait for a miracle, but I hear the piercing in my ear, not from such noise, but from utter silences clear. I try to control the wind, to rid myself of my fears, but the weight in my chest is filled by my own tears. Oh brother, I am sorry, you cannot join me on my journey. I always wanted a fresh start. I just wish it didn't dock so early.
Yew! There it is. Adelaide has entered the chat. Here we go.
Pressure.
Lovely, Jordan. Really like the piece, almost psalm-like in some of its language and structure, I reckon. I got a lot of curiosity about where exactly you've popped up from, Jordan. So can you tell us the origin story of how you started to create, and more importantly, how you started to share your poetry work with the world?
Look, I'm not sure where I've even popped up from, or whether if I've popped up at all.
You're a mystery to yourself, mate.
I am. Yeah, it's interesting. I've been thinking about that question for a while, and I guess to give a bit of background, I started writing when I was 18, so I'm 28 now, so roughly about 10 years. It first sort of started as journaling. I think when I hear a lot of people talk about when they first started poetry, a lot of people say it is kind of just like journaling. And I remember, sort of me as a 18-year-old, I didn't really have much words to anything. But I found that whenever I was listening to music, I'd be able to use that sort of rhyming set in a way that all of a sudden the words became a lot easier to write. And I'd find myself sort of writing in couplets and all that sort of thing. And all of a sudden I was putting words to how I was feeling. I first started sharing poetry in 2019. I checked that before this on Instagram. And I guess part of that process was honestly just for feedback. You know, when you leave school, that sort of constant feedback is kind of gone. And I think as well, you have that sort of thought of like, well, I can't really show my friends poetry because I don't know what they'll think of me. Like, this is quite vulnerable of me, what I'm sharing. Like, I don't know, what do they know about poetry? Will they just say it's good and move on? So honestly, it just started out as, well, if I just share it to a bunch of strangers and just see what they think, we can go from there. It started out as just purely the written words. And then over the years, it's transformed into my face being there a little bit more, and landscape, and using the beautiful Australian landscape to show things. And yeah, it's transformed into that.
So it sounds like you kind of fell into it in a way. It was like a wonderful pit full of, unicorns and rainbows that you, well, maybe not, that you kind of fell into.
Yeah.
When you said that you were looking for feedback, I almost gasped because I thought, oh boy, we do go to the internet for feedback sometimes. Did it feel risky, like the first time before you made the first click?
Oh, for sure. No, it wasn't just like I had the one thought and I was like, yeah, I'm going to post it tonight. Like, this was a long, long time. Me, myself, I'm probably quite neurotic, so I can be quite anxious. So it's certainly, that was over a long, long time. I did eventually start talking to my friends about it and being like, the ones I really trust, and go, should I do this? Should I share this? And they just went, well, what have you got to lose? So I thought, all right, I'll just do it. It's certainly a vulnerable position. And at the start, my face was nowhere to be found. People didn't know it was me. I think I had a different name. And I just went, oh, here's some words. What do you think? It's like a muscle. I think the more that you sort of put yourself out there and you put the words on the page, and, you get good feedback, you get bad feedback. And the more that you do it, I guess the more, I wouldn't say comfortable, but the easier it becomes.
I'm so glad to hear that, because we were talking about how I feel like I'm starting to come out of the shadows a bit more in terms of sharing a bit more of my work on the solo episodes, which people have been listening to. I want to ask you though, why do you think it does feel easier to sometimes share this stuff with strangers than those closest to us? Do you think we need some of that 6 degrees of separation, or that anonymity, to get comfortable? Like you said, like a muscle. Our vulnerability muscles are so weak that we have to start with that maybe.
Oh, for sure. I think the way that I look at it when I write poetry, it's kind of like a code in a way. If you share it with someone who knows you, they've already got the hints to the code. Whereas if you share it with someone who doesn't know you, they use their own imagination to come up with what it's about. There's no like event that they know that I've gone through that they can relate it to or anything like that. And I think that was really what spurred me on, was I don't really mind what people think, what I was thinking, or what they think the poem's about. I was more curious what they thought the poem was about, or how it related to them and their experiences. Certainly that sort of separation, if you have a really trusted friend who said they're disappointed in you, that's going to hurt more than someone you don't know at the base value.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I've been observing you and the community that you've built, and I didn't see any trolls. I mean, I don't know if you've had much experience there, but it seems like people are really behaving themselves and really loving what you bring to the table.
I'm utterly shocked, really. I'm very blessed. I can't believe whenever I read people just being so kind, and people say I really like this, and they point out certain things that they liked. I mean, even just to put that sort of detail in, like, yeah, I mean, look, there's certainly trolls as well, but there's, a lot more positive than negative. And I feel very lucky that that's been the case, because that's not the case for everyone.
Fantastic to hear. So your collection, The Human Condition, which dropped last year, it's out there, it's doing great, it's changing lives. And I'm sure it was a labor of love for you. What I want to know is, which poem in that collection was the hardest for you to finish? And what did you kind of learn about yourself in the process of getting that right and getting it to where you wanted it to be?
Yeah, I've got the poem with me. I think for context, this book took about 5 years to put together.
Yeah.
And that's not meaning like every night I was writing poetry. It was more like getting the confidence, getting enough work. I remember I had about 50 poems that I wrote, and I was like, yep, I'm ready for a book. And my friend's like, that's not enough poems. And I was like, oh, is it? And then they'd read through it and be like, some of them aren't that great either. And I was like, I need to write more poems.
There's that feedback.
Yeah, so like it was a 5-year sort of process. So it's hard to just say, oh yeah, he was one that was hard, because they all, in a sense, were, I guess, difficult in that sense, because you just had to go, well, it's not just I have to write a certain amount of poems. It's out of the poems you've written, which ones are your best?
Mm.
And that's pretty hard. Again, we talked about the feedback. Like, that's a difficult process for you to actually look at and go, oh, I don't think any of these are good. Or the opposite, I'm like, oh, maybe all these are good, but which ones is best? I don't know. But anyway, to answer your question, this one, I guess I'll read it out for you.
Yeah, please.
I sit in my tattered peaks, crumbled castle laid waste, of fake gold and jewels, as brittle as bones. Wither away, O heart, till you feel no more, and my suffering becomes mute. Until then, my vision is blurry, and my angst replies in a hurry, to consume all its worry. I repeat to others what is relayed, ringing in my head what is heavy in my chest. If you are alive, then you are lucky. Bitterness claws grip tight, and shreds away its prey, to lay lifeless and dismayed, too reckless to say or do anything today. I sort of remember writing this, and this was years ago. The idea was I kind of wanted it to be as convoluted as possible, which is not always how you want to write poetry at all. But it was like a writing exercise.
Yep.
What words can I use that sound the same and kind of rhyme, but also don't? Can I keep a constant theme? Can I keep people guessing as they're reading and then going backwards, like a piece where they could read it a few times and go, oh, it doesn't mean this, or maybe it means this. Yeah, and I think this was one that I had to keep going over and went, oh, maybe I'll use this word, I'll change this word, I'll change this word. I think a lot of the time, maybe I'll just like to sort of write in a passion fit, but this is one I was like, I'm going to take my time with it and use deliberate words, knowing full well it's not going to be for everyone. But for me, it was like, this is a cool exercise, and I think someone may potentially like, I don't really understand what this means, but I like the tone and the rhythm of it.
It sounds like you made like conscious, deliberate choices to give yourself a timeline and boundaries and say, this is what I want to try here. This is not just free verse or a free writing activity. I want to build something really, really particular here. And I think that can be really useful, to give yourself that scaffolding and then fill it in however long it takes.
Yeah, I think it's probably the teacher in me as well, just telling me to give myself a writing exercise, homework.
Yeah. We talked about trolls before, but I certainly remember, you told me you'd done a bunch of relief teaching. I certainly remember some horror stories of my time in school of how the sub, as we would say, would be treated. Yeah. Have you got any funny stories of or horror stories of just how things have gone when you've entered as a fresh face into a classroom? People have thought, oh, here we go.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of moments. There's a lot of moments that you walk into a classroom and you're going, oh, I just need to keep these kids alive. And that is my goal.
Yeah.
Like, all my goal is going to be today. And you see your relief notes. One of the killers for me was like, it was like a 2-hour session with these kids, year 8 boys. And it's like, play volleyball. And it's like, well, where do I get the volleyballs? Where are we playing volleyball? I don't know these kids, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I remember one time, because I guess I was, 25, with some year 12s. I was teaching year 12s for the day, and I guess my face looks a bit young. The first 5 minutes, everyone was just chatting and whatever, and I was just sort of, it was one of those schools that you sort of didn't say anything. You have to wait for everyone to sit down, and they all usually do it, and no one was doing it, and I sort of was going, well, what's going on here? And eventually I was like, all right, guys, time to sit down. And they all sort of looked at me funny, and it was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm your teacher. It's time to sit down. And like, oh, we just thought you were one of the boys. We just thought you were a new kid.
We thought you were Asa Butterfield,
Yeah, I was like, no. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I've lost them already.
Wow. Yeah. Gee. As someone who comes from a family of many teachers, it's a tough gig. And I think the sub is tough as well, because people might think you're a mark. But yeah, good on you for getting out there. I Think Therefore I Slam is brought to you by the Slam Fam on Patreon. Yes, these are the generous, beautiful, creative souls who help keep the lights on here at Podcast HQ. And for less than the price of a coffee a month, they get access to all types of exclusive goodies, including bonus episodes, previews of upcoming content, new poems and musings from me, and much more. To become a member, you can head on over to patreon.com/ITTIS or click the link in the description. Now back to the conversation. Let's talk about Instagram as a platform, because that's where you've built, this community of yours. Now, when I think of Instagram, when I look at Instagram, I mean, I throw up first, but then I look back at it and I'm like, oh, there's so much noise here. There's so much speed. There's so much brevity and instant gratification. And I feel like that is always bumping its head up against poetry and lingering complexities and deep questions that we might explore in our work. How on earth do you go about reconciling demand for quick engagement with that kind of more slower, deliberate pace of reading and feeling poetry?
It's very tough. I wouldn't say I'm an expert at it at all, but I do think it's very easy to talk about the negatives of it, which, like you said, I agree with everything you've said, but there's also, I guess, part of the strength of it, this is how I've looked at it, is am I able to write a short piece and have the same impact as a longer piece? Am I able to write something that's 8 lines that has the same impact as something that has 16? Or am I able to give you 4 lines that has the same impact as 1,000 words, if you wanted to sound poetic? I really lean into that. I really like that idea. Okay, how can I be so concise with my writing and deliberate with words and be able to portray my story or my thoughts or my purpose of what I'm trying to write here? How can someone quickly read that and go, yep, got it. Yep, understand it. Yep, or yep, I love that line, all that sort of thing. So I think the positive of Instagram is that it can allow for that. It can sort of train you to be more deliberate with your words and not waste your words. It's interesting what people sort of pick up as that happens. I think as well, like, Instagram is quite rushed, and what does well is not necessarily poetic at all. So it can sort of train your other artistic muscles. I guess for me, it was like landscape and videos, and how can I make a video look beautiful? How can I do editing? What music should I use? That's a really big one. Because there's certainly I'd say a market, but there's certainly a niche for people who love poetry, who are on Instagram, who immediately pick up a song and go, I love this song. And as they're listening to the song, they're reading the words, either of the lyrics, or they're reading something, a story is playing or something like, and it captures them. And all of a sudden, I know for myself, I'll send myself like, oh, I really like that poem. I really like that story or that sort of thing. And I'll send it to myself. I think the goal is, can you get someone to slow down and read your work without it being too gimmicky, I guess?
Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, you said that there's people that this will appeal to, and that's because everyone is here, so to speak. Not everyone, but so many people are here. And in amongst those are people who are going to appreciate what someone is doing out there. I know that there's that classic, like, the medium is the message quote, right? And I think about television and film and how those have been around a while now. And we have what we consider to be highbrow or classic cinema, television, that kind of thing. The same thing in music. I'm not sure if we're seeing that same thing kind of happen in the social media age. I mean, we look back fondly on maybe platforms like Vine and we go, oh, there's these classic Vines that became part of the lexicon. Yeah. But I think maybe part of what's doing it is that real, just like my experience, we sit down and we watch a film together. We're seeing the same thing, more or less, unless we're sitting in different parts. I don't know. You start bringing in the internet and the way social media works, all of a sudden my experience of what this is completely different to anyone else's. Yeah. Again, the medium is the message. We know it's built that way to sell stuff or keep you on there. So it's going to be really interesting to see, like, is there some kind of chart out there of what is the video that the most people in the world have seen that's hosted on Insta, for example? These aren't questions we're going to be able to answer today, but I do think about it's a completely different medium. And I do think we are butting our heads up against it, but that's part of the journey. Let's do it anyway. Let's try and find the people that can appreciate it.
And I think I agree with what you're saying in that it's also changing so quickly.
Yes.
Like, it's not even, oh, in this decade, this was the popular television show. People love dramas or whatever. It's like every year, like there's something, not even every year, like every few months, there's a new flavor that's all of a sudden popular, and then all of a sudden it's never seen again. If you have that sort of idea of like, everyone try and keep up with that, you'll get pretty exhausted pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminded me of catching up with a friend recently, and we were just chatting about things, and we were talking about TV, and he just seemed kind of shocked that I wasn't watching all the things that he was. I was like,
yeah,
that's just how it is. Like there is less and less shared cultural language. Do you know what I mean? I'm a bit old fashioned in that I love going to the cinema. I love being able to experience the same thing. I love live music. I do not record stuff on my phone very much at all. I want to be there with the people as much as I can. So I don't know whether we can bring that to social media, but like you said, maybe it's finding a way to slow someone down and get someone to think about something.
Yeah, and look, I think as well, like, connection's really important.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I've been really lucky, is that like I've been able, and I think a lot of people that I know in like the poetry circles with an Instagram, is like connection with other poets, connection with people who like your poetry, showing genuine interests. Really, being a genuine person really cuts through on Instagram. Like, people can tell if you're being genuine and if you're genuinely interested in what you're doing and passionate about it. I guess it's like you would any like small social group. Like, it's showing your interest and showing your interest in the people who are interested in your things.
And look, full credit to your community. One of the things that they've done, which is amazing, is they actually helped translate some of your work into multiple global languages. That's incredible. What does it mean to you to have people buy into your work so deeply that they would offer to do this?
When I first started posting in 2019, that was not what I envisioned at all.
No.
And it's something way greater than I could ever imagine. And even if just two people did it, I remember the first person who did it, I was like, I can't believe you can even do this. Because poetry is sort of like its own language in itself. Like, English is, I guess, hard enough for other people to learn. But I said before, like, poetry is kind of like, it's got its own code. How do you even do that? I think the best thing about that is other people's, I guess, cultures certainly, but how poetry is received and written and shown in different cultures. Like, just how much weight it has. What's an example? Like China. It's got such, like, so many poems it's written completely different to how English poetry is written. Yeah, it's got so much historical weight to it, and culture, and it's like that everywhere. And unfortunately, the translation is never really going to be as good as the original. But even just for someone to get like, oh, I sort of get what that's about, and I can put that in my own language. And that's what, again, I really like. It's like, I don't really mind what people think, what my poem's about, if they're able to even create something from it and go, this is what I think it's about. This is that I can write it in my language and share it with people around me. I just think, wow, all power to you. That's awesome.
What's your favorite language that it's been translated to? What sounds the nicest once you've seen the end result?
Well, I think there's always, the main ones, Portuguese and Spanish.
Great.
That's happened a lot. That they sound lovely. They sound like it's just such a romantic language. It's like French. It's all just like beautiful. Yeah, there's Indonesian as well, Arabic as well.
Wow.
Like Arabic, that's really cool. And I learned so much from people from those areas, just how much importance poetry is to their culture. And I had no idea, living in Australia, where so far from, most countries, you just don't have any idea of, what poetry means to them. And it means a lot. I think Chinese as well. I've got another app called Red Note that's doing pretty well. The history with China and poetry is really fascinating. Certainly sounds a lot different to English, but it's the sound of it is different, but each word has way more weight and way more meaning than each one of our words. And that's like such a cool thing to understand.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Jordan, let's hear your next piece, I reckon.
Sure thing. Some context behind this one as well. Over the last couple of years, I realized that a lot of the stuff that I would write would be quite, I guess, negative, just because it's so much easier to write things that evoke strong emotions, sadness, I guess, joy, frustration. Like it's just, that just comes so naturally. And I think recently I'm trying to have this way of writing where I'll start with that and then can I finish off with a hopeful note. So I guess this is a poem that hopefully tries to achieve that. Whenever I consider how my light is spent, I question to where my loyalty lies. Where I choose to shine upon, there also blindness can pursue my eyes. To illuminate the dark with a single glimpse, I wish for any suffering to leave swiftly. Yet I must trust my intuition, upon which I shone, to muster courage to believe, if a good deed is done. I spend so much energy at night to tame my eyes to be still, yet my irises crave the light of the moon. My arms covet the wood of the windowsill. Though the sun creates a shade, and your shadow may be bleak, dark as the night, lurking to prey when you are weak, need not to turn around to fight. May you follow the sunshine. May you follow the light.
Yeah, no, I totally felt that journey, like you said, of wanting to start in one place and end up on another. Yeah, beautiful, mate. Now, a little bit of a rapid fire round, if you like now. I'm always interested in people's influences, who they've drawn upon. So can you give us one poet, one songwriter, and maybe one non-writer who shaped the voice behind your work and how?
Yeah, for sure. I think one poet, something that I really like to do is I like to collect old poetry books. I just love how it's written and they look so beautiful. I just love the aesthetic of them. So my first ever poetry book that I ever bought was this one here, Lowlington Downs by John Masefield. I remember looking and reading the words and being like, wow, this is really good. If I could write half as good as this guy, that's what I want to try to achieve. But so certainly his work, whenever I feel I'm in a slump, I'll read this book or I'll try to get inspiration from it. One songwriter is hard. There's so many. But I think one that's really interests me that has shone through at the moment, like also in the Instagram and that sort of market, is Sam Fender.
Yeah, great.
I loved his work right from the start. And he's a poet. Like he is a true lyricist, like real Bruce Springsteen, like it puts you on a journey. Like
People Watching is wonderful. Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah. And it's just like the words that he uses are incredible. What's the one I looked it up before? It's one of his famous "Rain Me In." It's in the chorus. Like usually, like the beautiful pieces is like somewhere scattered around in the verses.
And to see him collaborate with old mate from the War on Drugs, like I just think that's a brilliant pairing to bring that kind of almost shoegazy aesthetic to his work. Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, no, this line, I'm working myself up to a nice warm bliss. All my memories of you ring like tinnitus. I was just like, that is such a strong chorus. Like, that's such a strong line to put in the chorus. That's not catchy at all. Like, who's singing tinnitus? But it fits so well. It fits like the rhyme and the rhythm of the song. And he obviously pairs it with just this beautiful musicianship. But yeah, so my last one, so it's meant to be rapid fire and I've gone way over, but
that's fine.
The non-writer, I started writing when I was 18 because of a memory that I had of a teacher in year 5. And I remember we had to write a poem about something. And I remember writing the poem and going, oh, this is actually kind of easy. Like this is just coming a bit naturally to me. And I remember the teacher like pausing and saying like, oh, Jordan, this is really good. Usually it was like, oh yeah, Jordan, this is great with like most stuff. But I remember with her being like, oh, this is great. And like show the whole class. That memory has never escaped me. I don't remember anything else about school, but that one for some reason just like stuck with me. So I guess that just talks about the power of, I guess, one compliment that, you know, a teacher or someone that you value can make.
And was that part of your steps towards doing some of that relief teaching work later?
Yeah, for sure. It certainly influenced how I spoke to the students. Like, even if I'm just here for a day, could I just give one compliment to someone that would, you know, make them think twice, like, oh, actually, maybe I can do this, you know, something like that.
It's weird, like we all have an age where we have our first memories, right? Like where it's usually, I mean, for me, it was maybe 4 years old or something. So you've got consciousness, you've got memories, but I consider maybe the age of, I'm going to say like 10 or 11, where all of a sudden, like life started to have this amazing like weight to it, for better or worse, maybe it's just part of growing up. And I certainly remember my first experience of, I don't know, stepping out on a stage for a little pantomime or something, and that just being like a really big deal when I got feedback for that. I was like, wow, when I make choices, it actually has an effect. Like I push and something moves. Do you know what I mean? Like it sounds so simple, but it takes a long time for personal agency to grow as a young person. So for you to exercise that and for that to be affirmed in the classroom is huge.
Yeah, I think as well, like, I guess talking to teachers, but you don't realize what something really means to a kid because the kid doesn't realize either until it's been and done. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, actually that meant a big deal to me. And the feedback I got was great. Now I'm heading in this direction for the rest of my life. Like it could be as simple as that. It's crazy to think about. It's awesome too.
Hey, quick pep talk. If you're enjoying the episode, I'd love it if you could leave a rating, review, comment, or like wherever you're listening right now. You know how this works. Every little bit of digital interaction helps people to find the show and keeps the poetry flowing. And if you want to do something extra special, please share the episode with someone who you think will vibe with it. That also helps with all of the above. Thanks so much for listening. And now back to our guest. Let's talk a bit about your particular, what I'm going to call your visual aesthetic, because I reckon there are a lot of writers out there who have trouble with the how of sharing their work digitally. I'm certainly one of them. Like I am trying to figure out how do I represent something which is typically an audio experience for me in a way that is appealing and at the very least watchable, Do you have any like processes or tips that you use to create a visual aesthetic? I mean, it seems like you're in a perpetual golden hour when you're recording stuff, mate. So do you go and research locations and be like, oh yeah, this is where I'll do my thing? Or is it just your backyard?
Just blessed to live in Australia, really. The sunsets are beautiful. I'm obsessed with some sunsets at the moment. So it's just appearing and everything, and it always looks good on camera. But again, I won't say I'm an expert in this. It's very difficult. And I think it's sort of, you need to access all parts of your artistic brain. Like it's not just, I refuse to believe if someone can write a poem that that's all they can do. You'll be surprised what else you can actually do, even visually. And I think it's taking inspiration. You don't need to start off as an expert. Certainly when I first started, I would just experiment with different photos, different visuals. And I look at that, and, some of the stuff that I posted years ago, and I'm going, that does not look good at all. What was I thinking? But that's okay. Like, it's just, you really have to squash that perfectionism and just sort of, like I said, you've got to grow that muscle and be like, I'm just going to try it. I don't think anyone really is going to say any sort of feedback about it, but you can figure out what's working and what isn't. But yeah, take inspiration, take inspiration from music videos, from movies, from other artists. There are some really awesome poets who capture like small movie moments and then add their poetry into it. Like they somehow are just able to do that. I guess the how is you just got to try. Like what works for you? Like what movies do you like? Play off your strengths. Play to what you lean towards. You don't need to try someone else's vision, but taking inspiration never hurts either.
It helps to be photogenic like yourself, mate. Like I said, you got your piercing blue eyes staring at us while you're doing some love poem or something. It's very moving.
Thank you.
I reckon so many of us need to give ourselves permission to just be crap at something. And that's hard because I'm sure we all have day jobs where if we were crap at our day job, like we probably wouldn't last very long. So we build up this thing of like, well, to be an adult is to be good at everything I try my hand at, which ends up with a very restrictive life. That's certainly what I've found. I've found that my own insecurity and fear of trying something new has definitely held me back. I'm on this journey like anyone else. So just like do something in the same way that you would do it when you were 10 years old and you didn't have all that other baggage. You got to find some way to access that area of yourself, I think.
For sure. And it's all like, what are your expectations? If you're if you're writing poetry to be a millionaire, that's not really going to happen, is it? But if you have that mindset, because that can sort of sneak up, then you're going to put so much pressure on every poem you write, everything you post, all that sort of thing. But if you have that expectation of, well, this is my passion project, yes, it's very personal and very vulnerable. And if someone were to say something and be a troll, like, obviously that's going to hurt. But if I post something, I'm still going to be okay the next day. Like, physically, I'm going to be okay. Like, all these sort of things. Yeah, it's sort of like reminding yourself of like, therefore, I can make a mistake and everything will still be okay. But again, like, that's such a muscle. Like, you don't have you start off slow. Like what I did, like I literally just did my poem, white background, bang, and that was it. And like, that was enough for me to be like, yep, this is a vulnerable space for me to be in, but I'm happy to be sharing something. And every once in a while, someone might say something, and that just meant the world to me.
I've just finished reading the latest book by Ben Crow. So he was Ash Barty's kind of mindset coach during her prime, if you like. And he's constantly talking about finding a sense of play to take pressure off yourself. That's what he uses for elite athletes, but I think it's applicable to everyone. If you're playing, you can't lose no matter the situation you're in. If you take the stakes down to just like, let's find something out, all of a sudden it's like, the relaxed body language comes in and you can do your thing.
No, that's great.
Cool. I want to now dive into some familiar waters, which I've covered before on the podcast, but I do like diving into it with people who are up for it. I want to know if you can tell me more. Oh, sorry, I was going to say this is very much my Stephen Colbert moment with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about what I'm going to call the intersection of like faith and creativity in your life? Like, how do you see those two things dancing together, so to speak?
For sure. It's such a great question. I think I'm certainly a Christian, and it's my number one, like, most important thing in my life. And I think it sort of, because it'll sort of play out in everything, hopefully, in everything that I do. So if I am writing a poem, like, it'll be sort of intertwined somehow. And look, there's such a history of, Christianity, religion, whatever, of just so much art. Like, if you're passionate about something, art is created. So I'm passionate about Christianity, so art about it is going to be created no matter what. Because if you're inclined like I am, like, it sort of comes out of you. And so, yeah, I think, like, certainly, like, in the Bible, there's lots of poems in there. There's lots of sonnets. There's lots of people shaking their fist at God, and then there's also adoration, and there's Christian music, and it's a
lot of genres, a
lot of genres. History. There's paintings. There's so much. Christian music these days, all that sort of thing. Movies. If you want to share your art, you're sharing a part of yourself and a part of your vulnerability. And as you're doing that, if something means so much to you, like, it's naturally just going to show. It's risky as well, like anything. Like, you share a part of yourself, it's always going to be vulnerable. But yeah, I try to show it when I can. I don't all the time, but when I do, yeah, you find that other people also can relate to it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think whatever people may believe, like, there is a space for you to share that through your creative medium. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for that to contribute to, I don't know, I guess the broader cultural conversation. And there's so many contemporary examples of this. I mean, everything from U2 to Lauren Daigle, these kind of people. So I'm always interested, like, are there any artists in that kind of corner who really inspire you?
It's interesting. Even like Bon Iver, like, he's not necessarily, I don't think he calls himself a Christian, but he's written songs about his struggle with Christianity. Heavenly Father is a really great song, a great example of that.
Wow. Have you seen the recording of that at the Opera House or whatever? It's stunning. It's stunning.
Unbelievable. But, like, what a beautiful piece, just talking about the struggle between, him and his relationship with God. There's certainly lots of Christian artists out there. Like, the one that does come to mind is Justin Bieber. He's written some songs about it. And again, it's more just him showing that vulnerability, that side of him. And it's like, well, that music is coming from him. I don't know if that's really from the label or anything like that. So just the ability that he's able to do that, like, that's pretty daring, because I don't think many people will respond to it very well. Yeah, U2 obviously is a great example. I'm sure there's more. I can't think of any at the moment, but yeah, it's very brave. Religion or anything that, that is vulnerable to them to be able to share that.
I guess if anything, my own faith journey has led me to value earnestness in people, like wherever they're at.
Yeah.
When you see someone in a moment of genuine questioning anguish about the big things about life, like what are you going to do in that moment? How are you going to respond? And I'm so drawn to try and meet those people where they're at because I know what that feels like. And again, we see that through faith-inspired art and literature throughout history. So to be able to be a small part of that or whatever, I think is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's look towards the future now. What are you currently kind of working on? Is there a second book in the process, or have you got the foot off the accelerator at the moment? What's happening?
It's tricky because sort of like we mentioned, like Instagram and social media is such a machine. If you don't keep up with it, then you do get left behind a little bit. But I think for the moment, there's certainly a book. There's certainly another book that's coming. The last one took 5 years. This one may take 4. Like I may have sped up a little bit, but it's still, such a process. But like I said, it's a passion project. So I'm more than happy to do that. I have this other, I guess that Red Note account that's doing well as well. So being able to share that in a completely different country is really cool. But I think for myself, honestly, the thing that I'm telling myself more is like, I need to be more disciplined with writing. Like I need to separate myself from sharing sometimes and just get back to, why did you start writing to begin with? What was the purpose for it? And sort of finding that enjoyment of the process again. And I think that's like, you'll hear so many artists say that, like, it's pretty cliche, but it's amazing how true it is. You can just get lost in this world of, oh, I got to post 3 times this week. I got to make sure a post is done.
It's exhausting.
All that sort of thing. And life gets busy. And you just go, well, what's more important? It's like, well, finding that love and that passion. Or even, the days I'm like, I don't want to write a poem, but it's like, I'm going to sit myself with music for 10 minutes and just write whatever.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden it's like journaling. Like I feel great afterwards.
Yeah. Like a deliberate practice that allows you that longevity to be like, okay, we're not trying to post 3 times a week. We're going to post once a month for 20 years or something, or even not making that many plans, just seeing what happens. I think that's super important. Jordan, I want to invite you now into the overarching creative metaphor that we've been using for season 3. I want to know if your creative work is like a color or a shade on the color spectrum. What is it and why?
I think to continue the theme of what my Instagram looks like at the moment, it'll be sunset orange, I guess, is what I would say, or brown. I kind of like brown because it's like, I try to put a mix of everything in my life. You put all the colors together and it turns into brown. But there's a beauty in brown. Like it's one of my favorite colors. I quite like it. But yeah, certainly the sunset orange, I can stare at that for a long time.
I thought you might have something like that. So we'll say it's sunset orange or goldenrod or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now we turn our attention to the segment shamelessly ripped off Diary of a CEO. We call it Diary of a POET. You've been left a question from my previous guest. So Jordan, this comes from Alyssa Pacheco, who asks, what is your secret ingredient to conjuring up or tapping into your creative essence? What's your Salt Bay that you put on the top?
Yeah, it's nothing fancy. I mentioned it before. I literally will sit myself in a room and I will play the saddest music I have possible, and I will just start writing and just start going, what am I feeling? What's going on in my brain? What am I stressed about? And then by the end of it, I try to come up with a bit more lighthearted, like, what do I find beautiful? Like the sunsets, the landscape. What are things I'm enjoying? It's sort of going through that cathartic process of, I'm struggling with this. I'm going to sit and be emotional with the music, and any sort of song that builds, I'm a sucker for. So Bon Iver fits perfectly with that.
Death Cab for Cutie, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I literally just you just have to force yourself.
What I'm hearing is like, not isolation, but solitude, right?
Yes.
Solitude and obviously your love of music shines through. People who might hear that and go, oh, I don't know if I could do that. Honestly, this sounds like such a healthy way of processing emotion, healthier than doing some compulsive whatever that turns off, your frontal lobe or whatever. That sounds like heaven. That sounds great.
I won't be sitting in a room for 24 hours doing it.
No, of course not. It's just one part of your life.
That's right. And you allow yourself to feel the emotion of what's going on.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised what's coming out as you're writing. And then by the end you go, all right, what am I enjoying? What am I thankful for? And I can write about that, write a poem about that.
Great. Do you own a typewriter?
Yes, I own 2.
Hey, you own 2. Tell
Yeah.
us what models, like what's on there?
I wouldn't be able to tell you the models.
Oh,
I like the look of them. But the old aesthetic, like I said, the old sort of books and the old typewriter, I like that sort of aesthetic. But yeah, no, my first one I got, I think 3 or 4 years ago, and it works. And that was so awesome. And there was another one that I got from Savers last year that I also love.
What a find.
I couldn't believe it. $40. I thought and it works.
I reckon you could eat off that. It's extremely well preserved.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. And yeah, literally $40. And I thought, I must have it. And then I didn't expect it to work. Works great.
Fantastic. Well, Jordan, you now get to write your own little chapter in the book that is, I Think, Therefore I Slam. What is the question that you're leaving for my next guest, Sight Unseen?
Yes. The question is, does poetry evoke emotion or is it a result of emotions?
That is probably the ultimate chicken and egg, isn't it?
It is. And I think that's the point. I want them to sort of go around in circles and see what they think when they come up with.
Okay, wow. The gauntlet has been thrown down. The glove slap has happened. The how dare you, it's all come out. You're challenging my next guest to a duel. That's what's going on.
Yeah, that's right.
Jordan Thompson, if people want to see what all the fuss is about, if they want to follow what you're doing, if they want to buy your book, if they want to keep tabs on the great work that you're putting out there, where's the best place or places that they should go?
It's essentially Instagram, j.t.elliottpoetry. Best place to do it. I've got links there, which has the book on Amazon, digital, and you can buy physical as well. Honestly, I'm happy for anyone to reach out. Like, I'm happy to chat about anything, but also I'm super privileged and super happy to be on here chatting with you. It's been awesome. And yeah, you've had some amazing guests, and to be a part of them is such a privilege. So I really appreciate it.
No, likewise, mate. We're ready for your final piece for tonight before we wrap things up. Blow us away, mate.
I might give a short one, considering a lot of my stuff is short.
Okay.
Here we go. Yeah, this is the one a short piece. This is the one that's I think most people enjoy from my Instagram account. Does beauty sing or whisper gently to you? For I have heard her call and seen its hue. So I shall bare my heart for you, to be in your neat room. I'll be home soon. We can stare at the moon, hold hands in the dusk of its gloom.
Short and sweet and simple.
Short and sweet.
That's how we like it. Jordan Thompson, we will see you in the glow of many a sunset into the future as you continue to bring forth your wonderful work. Thank you so much for thinking with us and slamming with us today.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Weetabix hands, what's that all about?